I have shared the whiteboard screen. Is it visible to you all? Please let me know. So let's be. Okay. So very good. Okay. So before we start, or before we know the topic of the concept that we are discussing today, let's take some example. Okay. Let's take the expression grammar. Now, expression grammar means this particular grammar. E derives E plus E or E star E or okay, we'll limit it to this one. And E derives ID. So there are three productions in this particular grammar. E derives E plus E, E derives E star E, and E derives ID. Okay. And what we have been given is we have to draw parse trees for the string ID plus ID star ID. Okay. I'll just remove this W equal to, because again you all might get confused thinking that why the W equal to is also part of the string. Okay, so this is a string given to us and this is the grammar that is given to us. So now to start with, what we can do is, okay, let's write the LMD for this. Okay. Now what we have been given here is this particular string. So we have to write the derivation. So we have to choose a particular production rule as we discussed yesterday. So let's choose say E plus E. Okay, so E derives E plus E. Now, since it is leftmost derivation, it implies that we have to expand the leftmost non-terminal. So we want the final to be E plus, no, sorry, ID plus ID into ID. So what we have to do here is we have to substitute this by some other production such that we get this as the final outcome. So what we can do here is we can replace this by ID. So ID plus E. Next, that means this is the one which will be replaced by some other production. So what we have is ID plus E star E. Okay, now this will be the one which will be replaced. So ID plus ID star E, and finally we'll have ID plus ID star ID. Okay, so what we have got over here for this particular string using leftmost derivation, we got this particular thing. So what we can do here is let's draw the parse tree also next to it. So if we draw the parse tree, now the parse tree will come E. On the next level we'll be having this. Then we did this. After that we did this. Then this. And finally the last ID. Okay. Then this is the leftmost derivation for this particular string. Okay. Next, let's try using another production rule just as a possibility. So the other production rule what we can try is say E derives E star. Let's say that we use this particular production rule. as the starting production rule to arrive to that particular string. Now this is the one which will be expanded or replaced. So let's look into production rules. Look at the production rule, we can see that it will be E plus E star E. So this is the one. Next it will be ID plus E star E. Then it will be ID plus ID star E. And finally it will be ID plus ID star ID. Okay. So now if we draw the parse tree, for this, we should get as E gives E star E, then this E is further expanded as E plus E. This will be ID, then this will be ID, finally this will be ID. Okay. So now in this, if you all have observed, what we have achieved is for a particular string, for the given grammar, we have two leftmost derivations or two leftmost parse trees. Okay. Now the thing over here is, I'll just mark it. Okay. If I just try to trace it, it will be like this. Okay. So if I just make a note of this particular string, it is ID plus ID star ID. Okay. If we trace this, okay, then what we'll get here is ID plus ID star ID. Now since both the parse trees are yielding the same string, that means whatever we have done is correct. So in short, for this particular grammar, for a particular string that we considered, two parse trees have got generated. So in this particular scenario, such a grammar is called as ambiguous grammar. So the grammar that is given to us is called as ambiguous grammar. So that's what the topic is. So topic is ambiguity in grammar. So now this ambiguity in grammar means, the simplest definition is a grammar that produces more than one parse tree or more than one leftmost derivation or more than one rightmost derivation for a particular sentence is called as ambiguous. Now when we say for a particular sentence is called as ambiguous, means by sentence what we are referring to is the string for which we are generating the parse tree, drawing the parse tree, or we are generating that particular derivation. Okay. So if there are more than one LMD or more than one RMD for a particular string, for a particular grammar, then that particular grammar is said to be ambiguous. Okay. So there are two things that we need to focus today on. First thing is the type of problem wherein we need to check whether the given grammar is ambiguous or not, and the second one is removing the ambiguity. Okay. So first thing what we'll do is we'll take up some problems to check whether the grammar is ambiguous or not. Okay. So what we can do is, we have a common question. Check whether the following grammar is ambiguous. Okay. So under this we can have the sub questions. Okay. Let's consider a particular grammar. Let's say we have S derives ASBS, or S derives BSAS, or S derives MT, epsilon. Okay, so now this is a grammar that is given to us, and the string for which we need to check is AB. Okay, so now this is what is given to us. So what we can do here is we can start drawing the bar string. So now what we want here is we want the string as AB, right? So if you want this particular string, we need to start with some particular production. So if you look at the three productions, what we can do here is just for our reference, we can number them as 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So now, if we refer to these productions as numbered from 1 to 3, we can see that we cannot use production number 2 and production number 3 because they won't give us this particular string. So what we can do is we can use the production number 1. So if we use the production number 1, and if we start drawing the parse tree, what we will get is S derives A, S, B, S. Okay, so let's have a leftmost derivation. So we have S derives A, S, B, S. We have taken that particular production. So now we know that after the first A, we need to have the second symbol is B. Okay, so what do we do? So we can expand this by using the second production. Okay, let's try using the second production. So it is B, S, A, S. Okay, so B, S, A, S. So we got A, B over here, and in between we have S, then we have A over here, and we have B over here. So roughly, if I just look at this particular tree, and if I just note down the symbols that are occurring, what I have is A, B, S, A, S, B, S. Okay, so if you look at this particular intermediate step, we have AB and we have A, and then we have B. So if we just take it, what we have is AB, AB, which is the required string. Okay, so now how do we go about by in order to construct the parse tree further or replace the intermediate nodes by some particular leaf nodes by using another production. So we can see that there is S derives epsilon, which is nothing but empty. So we can replace it for this particular S over here. Then going towards the right, from left to right, this S is there. So again this also derives epsilon. And finally this S also derives epsilon. So again, if I rewrite what I had written earlier, that is A, B, S, A, S, B, S. Okay, so we can see that by substituting each of the S by epsilon, what we get is A, B, epsilon, A, epsilon, B, epsilon. We know that epsilon means empty, so it's as good as nothing is there over there. So finally what we will get is A, B, which is nothing but the required string. Okay, so I believe that it should be clear to you all. Fine. So that is one parse tree that we got. Now let's see whether we can, instead of starting with this particular production one, can we start with any other production, or if we start with the same production as ASBS, of course I think so looking at this we can start with that only. But while going further down, suppose is there any possibility of using some other production and getting a different parse tree? Because the question that has been given to us is check whether the following grammar is ambiguous. That means we have to check whether the grammar generates different parse trees for the given string. So let's try. S derives, I think we have to take the same one. So A, S, B, and S. Okay. So Again, we are doing a leftmost derivation only. That means we have to replace this. So suppose if I replace this by the third using the third production, that is empty. Okay. So now what remains here is this. If I just take a rough intermediate sketch of illustration of this, what I'll get is ASBS. After that I replace S by epsilon, so ABS. So that means the first part of the half part of the string I've already achieved. I already got it. Okay. Now I need to go to this S and see whether I can do something. I can replace it by some other production. Okay. So AB we got. Now again we want another AB over here. So what if I replace this by the first production rule, A S B S. Okay. So now again if I write this, what I am getting here is, if I just read all the nodes, what I am getting is ABS. So this S has been replaced by ABASBS. So if you go to see, this is a part of the string, this is also a part of the string, and this is also part of the string. So now what is the only thing that needs to be replaced is this and this, correct? So for that, what we can do is we can use the third production and replace this by epsilon, replace this by epsilon. So now if we try to look at the yield of this particular tree, what we get here is, let's check. So this is the path that I am following. Okay. So what I am getting here is A, B, A, and B. So how I neglecting all the epsilons which are there, because they are empty strings, they cannot be considered. They are not considered as existing. So what we get is ABA. Now since we have seen that we have got two different parse trees, if you look at the two parse trees, structurally they are different for the leftmost derivation. Okay, so that means the grammar is ambiguous. Okay, now here we have to write that since there are two different parse trees, or since two different parse trees are generated for the given string, the grammar is ambiguous. Okay, is it clear? Is this particular is the particular concept clear? Whatever we are discussing right now. Okay, let's take up another problem. So we have to do the same thing. We have to check whether the grammar is ambiguous. S derives AB. Then right on the same line, B derives AB. A derives AA. And A derives A. And B derives. Okay. So if you consider this particular grammar, and if you consider that the string is A, so this is a question that is given to us and we have to solve it. Okay. So now in this particular case, that is to check whether the grammar is ambiguous or not, it is just this is the only way in which you can check the grammar is ambiguous or not. Try generating parse trees. If you get two or more parse trees, or two or more leftmost or two or more rightmost derivations, then that means the grammar is ambiguous. Okay. So we have to generate the string as AAB, right? So what we can do here is, let's start with S derives AB. Then look at a production which will give us AAB. So A derives AA and B derives single B. So what we can do is we can expand this as AA and this derives B. Okay. So if you look at this, what we are getting here is this. Okay. Then next is S derives say AB. Now this A can be replaced by something else. So suppose let's take this A as the small a. Okay. Now look at the productions of B. B derives AB, which is given here to us. So this is A and this is B. So again, if you look at this, we get AAB. So if you look at the parse trees, both the parse trees are different. So that means again it is, therefore the grammar is ambiguous. I'm just writing in short, see that you all write it properly. I believe that now definitely it should be clear to you all. Before we take up the next concept, because next concept in the sense continuation of the same concept of how to solve the ambiguity problem. You just take a problem. S derives AS or SA or A, and the string over here that is given is, check whether this grammar is ambiguous. We start. The string that is given to us is AA. And then can take one more problem. So S derives ASB or SS, and the string given is epsilon. String given over here is AAB. Right now, you will please solve this third problem and tell me whether it is ambiguous or not. Of course, I cannot tell you to enter the parse tree in the text, sorry, the chat box. Just tell me whether it is ambiguous or not. We'll give you 3 minutes. The fourth problem you can solve later. Right now, just solve the third problem because I have to complete the next part also, so that from the next class I can start with parcels directly, or maybe left recursion, left vector. So when I solve, let me know whether it is ambiguous or not ambiguous. Three is ambiguous. Okay. Who is also ambiguous? Okay, so 3 and 4 both are ambiguous, right? So let's go ahead. So now what is the problem? We understood what the problem is, as in case grammar generates two or more parse trees, two or more derivations for a particular given string, then it is called as ambiguous grammar. That is what we have understood. But now, in what exactly, uh, uh, what exact problem is posed by this particular ambiguity or ambiguous grammars? That's what we need to check. So for that, what I'll do is I'll just scroll to starting one. Okay. So now if you look at this particular grammar and the string that is given to us, which is id plus id into id. Okay. Now suppose if this is the scenario, now looking at this particular two parse trees. Okay. Let's number them. Let's say this is parse tree 1 and this is parse tree 2. So if I ask you a question that if you are given the choice of if you are given the decision making authority to decide which of the parse trees to be chosen, then which parse tree will you choose in order to get a right answer? Okay, let's assume that the value of id is equal to say 2. Okay, so as per this id plus id into id, what we should get is, I believe the answer should be equal to 6. Right. So can you tell me which parse tree we can use in order to get the right answer? That's what the question is. We want the answer is 6. So which parse tree should we use? If you look at this particular parse tree, that is parse tree 1, suppose if we take the value of id as 2, what will happen in this case is when we trace it, okay, when we check the yield of this particular parse tree, what it will do? It will try to calculate this, right? So I'll just take the actual value that I have taken as example now, 2. 2 plus, it will go here. But when it goes over here, it finds that this is further expanded. That means it's as good as the parser or the system will wait for this particular calculation to take place. Okay. So now this particular calculation is what it is, 2 into 2. So basically it will wait for this particular calculation to take place, correct? So once this calculation is done, that is 2 into 2 is 4. That will be added to 2, which will give you 6. If you go on this particular side, okay, if you take the value of id is equal to 2, so what it will do is it will do 2 plus 2. So directly this particular operand is getting this particular operator is directly getting both the operands. So what it will do is it will add up this 4. Then it will go to the next part of the tree. So next part of the tree says it is multiplied by 2. So that is giving us 8. Now, can you tell me based on our yeah, Videsh, that's right. So can you tell me based on our understanding of precedence and associativity rules, out of these two, which one should be chosen, first or second? So based on whatever we know, even if you apply the basic rules of maths like BODMAS, then still it's quite obvious that we should go with the first one, right? Because how it works that I've already shown you. That is, what the system will do is, obviously it shows as id plus id into id, and even if you look at it, it looks like, it should go in sequence. But what actually it will do is, when that plus operator will come into picture in the first parse tree, that time that plus operator will be waiting for the second operand. Now second operand in case of first parse tree is not yet ready because it has not been processed. So what it will do is it will now process and it will go deep into the tree and check out for the evaluation of that second part in order to get the value of second operand. So that itself is another expression, that is id into id. So it will do that 2 into 2, 4, and then it will give it back to the plus operator as a second operand. So it will become 2 plus 4, that is 6. But if we or if the system uses a second parse tree, what it will do is it will see that the plus operator is readily getting the second operand, both the operands. So it will do the addition first and then it will do the multiplication, which is against the rules of the language. So that's how it will create a problem and it can give wrong results. So basically this is the problem with ambiguous grammars, and this particular ambiguity or problem of ambiguity can be solved. So we'll see that. We'll see in the next part how ambiguity can be removed. Okay. So for removal of ambiguity, what we can do here is we can consider for removal of ambiguity, there are two things that need to be considered. Okay, so the first factor is called as associativity. So associativity of operators. Now this associativity of operators comes into picture when we have operators of the same precedence. I believe all of us know this by now, right? That if there are operators of the same precedence, then what we need to consider is the associativity of those particular operators. So that is one thing. Secondly, we need to consider the precedence of operators. So these are two factors that we have to consider while we go ahead with ambiguity removal, or also called as conversion of an ambiguous to unambiguous grammar. Okay, so let's start. What we can do is we'll just take initially very basic example. So let's consider the first point over here, associativity. So associativity, I think so all of us know that associativity can be either left or right. Okay, so let's consider initially only left associativity, right? So we'll consider left associative operators. So now when we say left associative operators means when we want to convert an ambiguous grammar into unambiguous grammar, we want to remove the ambiguity, what we can do is we can grow that particular parse tree into a left recursive parse tree, or we can convert the grammar from a normal grammar to a left recursive grammar. Okay. Now by this what I mean to say is we'll take an example. So if we say we have a grammar E derives E plus E or ID. Okay, a very basic grammar. Okay, and let's consider that the string that is given to us, which for which we need to construct the parse tree, is let's say ID plus ID plus ID. Okay. Now suppose if I draw a parse tree, if I try to draw a parse tree for this, let's try and get this, then I can get this, correct? If I'm not wrong, this is E. Okay, don't consider that. So this is E. Then I can get ID. I can get ID. Then I can get ID. Correct. So first thing is let's check whether the grammar is ambiguous or not. Let's try another way. If I again take E plus E, if I replace this by ID, then I go this side. If I say E plus E, this is ID, and this is ID. So if you just check the yield of this two parse trees, then what we get is ID plus ID plus ID, and here also what you get is ID plus ID plus ID. So now actually in this particular case probably it looks like it won't have any effect, because if I take the value of ID as 2, then what will happen is it will be 2 plus 2 plus 2 in either case, and second case is also 2 plus 2 plus 2, which will give me 6, correct? So here it won't matter because the same operator is used, that is a plus operator, and plus against plus, as in it will be obviously same operator, and the associativity is also same, left associative. But suppose if there was something else like minus was also there in this particular production, then probably it would have posed a problem. Now here we can see that first of all, since there are two different parse trees generated, obviously the grammar is ambiguous, because it might happen that okay, by ambiguous what we mean is the parser will be in confusion which parse tree to be used. Okay, so what we can do is we can transform this particular, or we can redefine the grammar. Okay, so we redefine the grammar means we are introducing or we are substituting one of the non-terminals by something else. So what we can do is we can write this grammar as E derives E plus ID or ID. So what I have done is I have just rewritten the same grammar. Okay. Now let's try to draw the parse tree. So E derives E plus ID, E plus ID. Okay. Now this E can be expanded as E plus ID, and this will be ID. Okay, so this is what we get over here. So in this case, in case of the left recursive grammar, or left, by converting the grammar into left recursive grammar, what actually we are doing is we are transforming the grammar such that the parse tree grows towards the left. Okay, I think so. You must have learned something about a skewed tree kind of concept within our data structures. So this gives us skewed tree. Skewed tree is a tree which goes from the root towards a leaf in one particular direction. So here in this case, from root to the leaf, it goes in the left direction. Okay. So now in case of associativity, we can do this. That is, we can make the grammar as a left recursive grammar. Now, which grammar can be converted into left recursive grammar is a question. Now, looking at the operator, we can convert the grammar into left recursive. Now, here the plus operator is used, and plus operator is having left associativity. Okay. Now, since it is having left associativity, that's the reason we are transforming it into a grammar such that the parse tree goes towards the left. Okay. Suppose if there is some production rule, or there is some grammar which makes use of some operator which is having right associativity. Okay, like there are some operators which are having right associativity, right? So in that case, what we need to do is we need to transform or redefine the grammar in such a way that we get a right associative tree. So right associative tree means instead of growing in the left direction, it will be growing in the right direction, and that will be, and that's how it will be resolved. Okay. Now more than this particular problem, The major problem over here is the most common one is the precedence problem. Okay. Now, precedence problem is in this case there are two things that need to be done. That is, when we have precedence of, or when we have operators of different precedence in the same grammar, what we need to do is uh, we need to restructure and redefine the grammar such that two points can be taken care of when the precedence problem comes into picture. So the first thing that can be done is the higher precedence operator should be placed at lower level. So higher precedence operator should be placed at lower level, okay, obviously in the tree. Next thing is introduce new symbols to redefine or rewrite the grammar. So there are two things that we need to do. That is, the high precedence operator should be placed at a lower level and introduce new symbols. When we say high precedence operator should be placed at lower level, it implies that, like for example, if you consider say plus and asterisk, okay, let's say there are some production. So in this case, what it means is, suppose if I consider that it is E plus suppose if I consider that this is something like this, then what it means is this. So we know that the higher precedence operator is asterisk, that is multiplication. So I have placed it at a lower level. Okay, I think all of you all know that when we talk about levels in general in case of trees, the lowest level is here, and this is the highest level. So if I consider that this is level 0, this is level 1, and this is level 2, we can see that our higher precedence operator is at level 0, whereas the lower precedence operator is at level 1. So this is the meaning of placing the higher precedence operator at a lower level. About introducing new symbols to redefine the grammar, this we can see by taking example of some particular grammar. Okay. So what we can do here is we can consider the expression grammar. Now the expression grammar here also I'm just taking against a subset of it, as in I'm not considering all the operators. Let's take only the two which can help us understand this particular concept. So if we have the expression grammar with this particular production rules as E plus E and E star E and ID. So these are three productions of the expression grammar that we have over here. Okay. So as you have seen earlier, when I drew the parse tree earlier, we saw that obviously it gives us two different parse trees. So the string that is given to us was ID plus ID asterisk ID. Okay. So a combination of addition and multiplication, in which it's quite obvious that as per understanding of the precedence of the operators, this should happen first, and after that this should happen second. Okay, this is what all of us know by default. So now, since this is the case, okay, so now since this is the case, what we can do is, I'm not redrawing the parse tree for this. I already drawn at the start of the class, right? It shows that we can have two different parse trees. So now what we need to do is, I'll just number this as say 1. Okay. So what we have to do here is, now we have to rewrite, or we can call it as redefine 1 as follows. So now here what we'll do is we'll use the second point that we discussed over here. Introduce new symbols to redefine the grammar. Introduce new symbols to redefine the grammar. We'll introduce new symbol, and of course we'll see what is the effect of introducing new symbols. So what we can do here is we can write e derives e plus, instead of writing e plus e, we can write it as e plus t. Okay. So in a way, what we are also doing here is we are converting the grammar into a left recursive grammar. At the moment, the only thing I would like to tell you all is a grammar is said to be left recursive if it is of this particular form. When I say if it is of this particular form, means if I write it in a generalized manner, if alpha gives alpha beta. Okay. So in this, alpha is a variable or a non-terminal, and beta is it can be either a variable or terminal, whatever. So if you notice, whatever is there on the left hand side, it appears as the leftmost symbol on the right hand side. So in such a case, the grammar is said to be left recursive. Okay. So what we do here is, we have, instead of writing e plus e, we are writing as e plus t. Okay. Now, next what we can do is we can define this t in the form of t into f. So instead of writing e into e, what we did is t into f. And then finally, we are writing this f in terms of the final, what I should say, is final symbol that we want, id. Okay. Now, e derives e plus t. This particular production, in addition to this, what we can also do is we can also define it as e derives e plus t or t directly, or the next one is t derives t star f or f, and finally f derives id. Now, why I have put this, what do you call it? The reason why I have put this particular slash t and slash f, I'll explain to you in a short while. So first we'll try to draw the parse tree for this particular string. So id plus id star id. Okay. So if we start with this, if you want to use this particular grammar and we want to draw the parse tree, obviously we'll start with e plus t, right? Because we want id plus id. So e plus t. Now, that's not the only reason that we want id plus id into id, but as I said, we have to place the higher precedence operator at the lowest level. Now, since this is to be done, it implies that plus is having lower precedence, so it has to be placed at a higher level. So what I did is I chose the production which is having a higher precedence operator in it and placed it at this particular level. Now, next thing what I want to do over here is I need to get id plus id into id, right? So let's see whether e can be expressed in some other form such that we reach this particular point id. So since I am using a left derivation or left most parse tree, so I have to expand this e. So if you will have noticed in the grammar above, I had written e derives e plus t or t. E derives e derives e star f or f, and f derives id. Correct. So from e we can get this, as well as from e we can get t and but we cannot get ID directly. So what I can do is from E I can go to T. So I can use this production, which is nothing but E derives T. I'm just rewriting it here. So E derives T. T further derives F, or T gives us F. So T gives us F over here, and from F we get to ID. Okay. So having done this, we move to the right. We move to the next symbol. So next symbol or next non-terminal over here is T. Now look at the productions and accordingly expand this. So T can be rewritten as T star F or F. But what we want is we want ID into ID. So directly replacing by F will just give us ID. We'll end up just getting ID plus ID. But we want ID plus ID into ID. So we'll have to choose this particular production. So it will become T asterisk F. Okay. Now go further ahead by replacing this T by F, and then further by ID. Replace this F by ID directly. Okay. So now if we take the yield of this particular tree, what we'll get is ID plus ID star ID. So if you notice, we get this particular yield, which is nothing but the string that is given to us. Now, shall we try to draw the same parse tree, that is the leftmost parse tree, by choosing some other production? Okay. Is it possible? So what I want is ID plus ID plus ID plus ID into ID, right? But looking at the production rules, it's not possible that we can do it, because if you look at this, can we do it? Like for example, let's just do just as a trial. Can we do this? Can we choose this production T star F? What will happen? This will give us ID. This will give us ID. Now this will give us ID over. This will end up with just ID star ID. Okay. So that means it implies that this particular grammar will be generating just a single parse tree for this particular string. And hence what we have done over here is we have converted the grammar from ambiguous grammar to unambiguous grammar. Clear? So just remember, for conversion of a grammar to unambiguous grammar, what we need to take care of is two things. One is associativity, another one is precedence. So when you deal with associativity, you just need to, depending on whether the operator that you are dealing with is a left associative or right associative, you need to accordingly transform your tree as a, or restrict your tree towards the left or right, whether it is left or right associative. And when precedence comes into picture, you need to place the lower precedence operator at a higher level in the tree, and a higher precedence operator at a lower level in the tree, and thus you can get rid of the ambiguity problem. Okay. Please remember that you all don't think that probably that this concept is just limited only to this. So maximum what might happen is it might not come for the exam or something. It's not the thing, but the application of this concept is further ahead in the parsing techniques, which is obviously very important. So please see that you all don't take it lightly. You all try it. I think it's almost time up. So you'll see that you all try it on your books, and in case of any doubts, you can let me know next week. Okay, or tomorrow. I think tomorrow we have practicals, right? So tomorrow I'll come into college during practicals. We can discuss it. Okay. So yeah, that is all for today. I'll stop here. Thank you.